we've allowed this issue to become a really divided one. And I think part of the way that that's happened is those minor coalition partners, looking to dog whistle a bit to some of the more unpleasant elements in our society by making this a big deal. I think if you think about politics in the immediate aftermath of the mosque shootings in 2019, at that time, probably we did have a bit of a bipartisan consensus that maybe we needed some change around issues like hate speech, and it's really only been, over the 5 years since, with all this campaigning from the likes of the Free Speech Union and elements within ACT and New Zealand First, that we've really started to see that shift. So I think things could potentially shift in the other direction if this issue could be, seen as something that is bigger than the divide between the centre left and the centre right, and is more something we want to think about, what kind of society do we want to have, and what legislation will we have that isn't just going to get flipped back and forth between different governments, but which will become like a more core part of what kind of society we have.
Because it needs to be something more than just offending someone, eh? It needs to be something
Oh,
more than that.
definitely. Yeah.
Maybe that's where the thing is. Chewie, we'll wrap this up in a tick. What do you want to add in towards the end of this chat, Chewie?
I just want, like, there's people going on in the chat about, like, who gets to decide what hate speech is, and this is exactly my point. I kind of wish that Free Speech Union were, and again, not a union. These people that are just anti it would actually get into the discussion with good faith. They just don't want it at all, and they're just throwing out some really hyperbolic answers and examples and that sort of thing. And I just wish that the debate would be had with some intellectual honesty, because if we can get through that and everybody gets to prove their case right, which is exactly what they should be for, right? More speech and discussion. We want to have a discussion about this because it's a real problem. Like, we're just thrashing things out of, like, what could be the shape of it. Whatever it is has to be strong enough to hold up in a court of law, be flexible enough that it stands up to the test of time, changes in society and current affairs and all of that sort of stuff, and that it can't be weaponized against us if a government, there's a change of government or something like that. Like, there's been lots of times where people have been, they've been on the up of an argument, and then it's turned around and changed, and you've got search and seizure laws deployed against you. You've got the police infiltrating activist groups and all sorts of stuff like that. It has to stand up to that. You've got to build a law that can't be weaponized against yourself. But I think the way that we are and where the discussion is these days, what is able to be said online, the way that people are able to connect with people that might share these abhorrent views, we need to be able to build something that shows us what that is, shows us what the shape of it is, and to be able to stop these things from happening before they get to something like what happened in Christchurch. There's a lot of, I'm not the biggest fan of religion, but often religion is a button point for people to be attacked or victimized or that sort of thing. That's a protected category. Disabled people. The LGBTQI community is obviously copping a whole bunch of flack. You can sit there and you can go, I don't agree with the gay lifestyle all day long. Have at it. The moment that you say that all gays are pedophiles and should be shot on sight, that's a very different statement. And that, I think, goes back to you saying about a call to action, a specificity. But then people can get around that, right? Like what I was saying, somebody should do something about the local mosque. We all know what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say it because I'm not crazy.
That's the grey area where laws would have to be clearer, and could they be? But yeah, I think I like what I hear you guys saying, and I'm probably a victim of it, is is to not be dragged by the extremes that have been used as the examples. If I don't know what the Scottish law is, I'll have to read into it. But if there is a sensible middle ground, then maybe that's the path to start to have a look at, whatever that is. Anything from you to finish off with, Byron? You are our guest, of course.
Yeah, I guess the point, and I'm sorry, I lost audio for a few minutes earlier, so sorry if this has already been mentioned, but one of the things we do have in existing laws is it's very clear cut if you threaten an individual, but we don't have something similar for threatening a group of people. So if somebody says they're going to kill me, they've likely committed a crime. I can contact police. If somebody says they're going to kill Muslims, they're going to kill trans people, they're going to kill Jewish people, etc., police probably still want to know about it, but it's not actually a crime that is prosecutable. So that's maybe an example of where, maybe that's a more clear-cut example where perhaps some laws could be changed, and there'd still be some grey areas, but that's always going to be the case.